Let's do this again. Doing this all a second time because of stupid things. Alright, as I said in my previous attempt at recording this video at the beginning, don't mind the headphones. I'm doing like a testing to see about having like music playing while I'm recording and also talking. At other points, I'm going to be trying the whole like listening to music while doing other stuff. That said, I'm doing this for the second time because I spent just over an hour recording this video and then starting editing it, and I immediately was like, oh, I have to scrap this and redo it because the camera, I couldn't tell because I'm on my bed, in case that's not obvious. But yeah, the camera was shaking way too much anytime I like moved more than like this. Please forgive any excess noises or stuff like that, but I'm not going to be re-recording this, so however this comes out, that's how it'll be. 'Cause I do not have the spare time or mental energy to deal with re-recording multiple times beyond this and having to try to like import it and start editing just to find I have to re-record and stuff like that. Let's actually start. I had started so well in the last time and oh my god. Anyways, begin me. Hello. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Changeling Reader. If you're new here, my name is Adrian, and if you're a returnee, welcome back. It's good to see you again. I don't have much to say beyond today. We're going to be doing my September TBR, and it's a pretty hefty list. Got quite a few things here. I will say I have it kind of categorized, and I don't expect to finish all of the books. You can't see them. I have them spread out on the bed instead of all stacked up, because then they would start falling. But I do not expect to finish all of them. Some of them aren't even ones that I'm like, yes, these are September TBR, where it's like, yes, I need to actually read those. They're ones that I'm kind of thinking, okay, if this, I just want to get through maybe like a quarter or I don't know, something like that. I'll cover it more once I get to those books. But yeah, let's dive in, starting with books I am continuing or are carrying over from the from the summer, that are concrete books that I intend to get to. Like, there are definite ones that I am trying to read this month. I don't know why all that hedging, but let's start with the ones that I have through Libby on my phone. So, from the library on Libby, I have an audiobook of Demon Copperhead that I am going to be continuing. That, where was it? I think I was some 30% of the way through last I checked. This is basically just a David Copperfield retelling during the opioids epidemic that follows this boy from Appalachia or something like that. It deals with the South and the foster system, and from what I can tell where we are right now, it's going into the opioid epidemic in the US, so I'll be continuing that. It's depressing right now. I haven't actually really found it anything beyond depressing so far. The other book that I have in progress that is going to be carrying over into September is Filthy Animals by Brandon Taylor. Demon Copperhead is by Barbara Kingsolver. I didn't say that. My apologies. But Filthy Animals by Brandon Taylor. This is, I don't know how to describe this. It's like one of those books where it's like a bunch of short stories, but it's kind of got a cohesive story that like it could be a novel, except there's like a few, at least where I am so far, a few stories that don't seem related to this other group of things happening. It's another kind of depressing book, or a book that I'm just like, well, it's well written, but I don't feel much else. I'm 67% of the way through, and I'm just kind of like, on it, but I'm intending to finish it. And those are the two Libby books, books I have on Libby. Let's get to the physical books I have here, where we have Hidden by Victoria Lustbader. It was the book I picked up for the June Read Your Bookshelf challenge prompt, which was the title having half the letters of your May book, which was Scorpionfish, which was 12 letters. This is 6. Then we have The Secret History by Donna Tartt, which I started in March, and it was for the Buzzwordathon. It still is, because I haven't read any other books yet that have secret in the title, since that was the March prompt. And I've basically decided with The Secret History that if I don't finish it this month, I'm just going to like full DNF it and find a different book to read for the March Buzzwordathon prompt. Honestly, it might just end up being The Secret by Rhonda Barn. I can't remember what her last name is. But that like weird self-help law of attraction book, I think it's something like that. And I can talk about how good or trashy it is. We'll see. But that's if I don't finish this month. Because I've kept trying to be like, I'm going to read this. And then I like pick it up. And my brain's like, do I really want to? But I'm going to try to force myself to get past where I am at least, and then we'll see what happens. But yeah, after that we have The Picture of Dorian Gray and Other Stories by Oscar Wilde, of course. This was my June Buzzwordathon pick to fit the other prompt where it has the word other in it. It's the only Buzzwordathon book that I didn't get to in the summer. And then this last one, I want to start by saying for the Buzzwordathon, the May prompt, with it being like flavors, seasonings, herbs, kinds of things, I ended up DNFing my book for that, which was Forbidden Fruit. And since I want to only count books that I finished for the different months, first off, I've shifted around a couple things, right? Like Cat Raised the Dead became my January fulfiller of the prompt, Life for Death, and then made Before the Coffee Gets Cold for Verbs in February. But so for May, I was looking at The Sweetness of Water by Nathan Harris. Because, sweetness and water, I was kind of like, if it's something you can describe a food as tasting or something as tasting, I was kind of like, there's watery and there's sweet, so I figured those two combined would be justified for the prompt. But yeah, that's all of the continuing ones, which, funnily enough, all of the physical ones are Buzzwordathon or Read Your Bookshelf challenges. What am I saying? They're all books to fill Buzzwordathon or Read Your Bookshelf challenge prompts. There we go. And with that, I figured the next section to go into would be this month's Buzzwordathon and Read Your Bookshelf challenge books that I decided, right? So let's start with the Read Your Bookshelf challenge pick. So, the prompt for September for To Read Your Bookshelf Challenge, God, I'm going to be saying that a lot, aren't I? Or I've said it a lot. I'm going to say it a lot more. The prompt is, the title has to have a word from page 50 of your August book. And my August book was Legends and Lattes. And this was a difficult one at first to be like, what do I do? What book? And I was like, had the page in front of me while looking at my shelves, going back and forth, looking for any of the words. And I thought for a little bit, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I might have to get close to page 50, like is recommended if page 50 doesn't work. But then I was like, I have to also read a read project book this month, because if I get through one a month, that'll basically have it where I've read all of them. Quick side note on that. I have completely lost one of the books. I have no idea where it is. Trust and Betrayal by Janet Bode has vanished. Because I was looking for it, and I was like, I can't find it. So I guess that's just an automatic read at this point, unless I end up stumbling across it at some point. So now it's just like one book a month, and I'll have it done by December. But anyways, I looked at those books and was looking at the page, and I saw Hold, which fits I Hold a Wolf by the Ears by Laura Vandenberg. And so, there we go. It fits the prompt, and I don't currently have issues with this book related to the October prompt, because that one is, the title has to start with the first letter of the last name of the author of this book, so it'll be B. And I was like, you know what, I have a few books that I could do that with. Anyways, let's move on to the Buzzwordathon one, which the prompt is game related. I had initially thought The Art of Racing in the Rain, because I figured that would fit, but then I was like, this is kind of like a sad dog story, so I don't know if I really want to do that. Like, at least that's the impression I get, because I was looking at, what was it, a summary or something, and it's, from what I understand, a dog as it's dying, reflecting on its life with his race car driving owner, something like that. So I decided that I did not want to read that right now, because I don't know how heavy any of my other reads are going to be. Plus, I of late haven't really been in the mood for heavier books, which is why I don't think I have very many horror or dark books on this list, aside from like maybe, I guess, A Secret History. But as far as game related, I was thinking about it, and I was kind of trying to decide, and so I ended up settling on Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton, because, parks are where a lot of children's games are played and that sort of thing, so I settled on that for it. If that is objectionable, let me know in the comments. Next, let's go through the books I have checked out from the library on Libby, aside from the continuing ones. So, first is Milkfed by Melissa Broder. I expect this to be a bizarre book, because one of my friends, this is like one of her comfort reads. And there's a few reasons that I expect it to be bizarre. She's read some scenes from it that are sexually explicit, so there's that. This woman has mommy issues, and also, like, kind of some stuff going on with another woman. It's like a sapphic book. The last book that I have in right now from the library on Libby is The Power of Different the what's the subtitle? The connection between genius and disorder, something like that. But it's by Gail Saltz, MD, and it, from my understanding, it is about the connection that commonly seems to occur between genius and people with mental disorders, or as like would probably be more commonly referred to as just neurodivergence, where it's like, it's a book I came across while making a hold for a book called Unmasking Autism. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be just about, the autistic genius or stuff like that. We'll see. I don't know what to expect. I also have another one that it was on hold that I think will come in really soon, but that's relevant to a later section, so I'll talk about it then. What to cover next? I guess we gotta get to that next section I just mentioned. How funny. The chunkers, thick boys, that I do not expect to finish this month. Well, maybe this first one I hope to finish. We'll see. It depends on how much they capture my attention and all that. But the first thick book is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clark. This edition I have, like a mass market paperback, is 1,006 pages. It's a thick boy. I don't know much about it aside from it supposedly having Dickensian vibes, and it's like Victorian England, but there's a bit of magic to the world. And there's footnotes. I got that right away from reading the first page or two. But with Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, I do have an audiobook hold that should come in like really soon, which is part of why I'm expecting I may finish it this month, but we'll see. And then the next two should be familiar to those of you who are not new to this channel, and they are A Suitable Boy by Vikram Seth and Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. Both that I currently am not really sure how to describe, but they're both like massive books, like looking at it. So with trying, like, having these both for the month, and at this point I'm like, I don't even want to try to finish the books, because that'll just make it feel like an intimidating piece of homework, and I'll end up putting it off until like next year or something, and I want to finish both of these books by the end of the year. So I am basically expecting that if I read like a quarter of a book a month, I should finish it by the end of the year. And that's just as a minimum, right? A quarter, because September, October, November, December. But if I do get further beyond and it's captivating me, then I'll keep going, of course. But yeah, that's those. Okay, let's see. Next up on my TBR, we're getting into the more moldable kind of will it actually happen, I don't know section. But in another September TBR video I watched, because that person is not like me and doesn't end up finishing 3 books on the 31st, so doing a TBR before the end of the month as well as a wrap up before the end of the month is impractical for me. But in that September TBR video, they talked about how September has a few challenges that, or readathons that are alliterative, of course, because the S's. So there's Shorty September, Sci-Fi September, Series September, Shaketember. And I looked up if there was one that was Strange September, but there's not, as far as I can tell. And let me know in the comments if you would be interested in me trying to like start like a challenge or like readathon or something called Strange September, where it's like you read bizarre books, or it's like it's got a very strange cover to you, or that sort of thing. It's just strange is the theme for the readathon, and it's like you could read weird fiction. That's the genre, from what I understand. Or it could even just be a book that has strange in the title. I don't know. But yeah, if that sounds like something that would be cool, let me know in the comments. I might do that if no one else does, and Strange September doesn't end up becoming a thing now that I've mentioned it and put it into the world. Anyways, in looking at the challenges, I ended up looking at Shaketember, right, which is Shakespeare. I from what I could tell, they have like a few plays of Shakespeare's that they're gonna be reading, like Richard III, Romeo and Juliet, and one other one I can't remember at the moment. I am not going to be doing that, but from what I understand, if you read any Shakespeare, you're still participating. So I was like, I have been wanting to read Shakespeare's sonnets, and was even thinking of picking them up this September. I've wanted to read more of Shakespeare's sonnets since a class that I took in college, where we ended up having to transcribe and then recite one of the sonnets in the original pronunciation. And I loved how they sounded. Shakespeare sounds so much better and a lot raunchier in original pronunciation. And it's a fascinating thing to look into. But also, I do kind of just like some of his sonnets, especially the one that I did, which is the one that starts, a woman's face, a woman's face with nature's own hand painted has through the master mistress of my passion. Is that? God, I wish I could find it. Nope. It's printed in this book twice. Anyways, yes, it's a woman's face with nature's own hand painted has through the master mistress of my passion. A woman's gentle heart like, but not acquainted with shifting change as its false woman's fashion. Anyways, it was that one. Don't ask me to recite it in original pronunciation, because I would have to do a bunch of the research again or find my previous notes and stuff. Anyways, alongside that, I want to read King Lear, because this is one of his greater tragedies, and I haven't read it, right? I've read Hamlet, Macbeth, I've read Othello, and then I've also read The Merchant of Venice, Measure for Measure, and Winter's Tale. But I haven't read King Lear, where a king goes mad. From that's basically the impression I've got. And then, it's been a long time since I read my first Shakespeare, which was A Midsummer Night's Dream. I read this in middle school, I think 6th grade? I don't know. But I wanted to revisit it, especially since in one of the D&D actual plays I really like from Dimension 20, it's called The Unsleeping City. There's a big portion of it that is like playing on A Midsummer Night's Dream. There's a character who's like a Broadway actress, and they have a musical called Midsummer Nights, where it's gonna be from Queen Titania's perspective and stuff like that. And Puck plays a role in the actual game as they play it, and the fairies play into it, and it's fun. So that, plus with King Lear being a tragedy, I figured balance it out with a comedy. And there's that I might read all those Shakespeare works for Shaketember. We'll see. Then we have my books for Series September. I might end up doing that. They have a bingo board. I'm gonna put it somewhere here. You can look at that. I'm not going to put any of these in a specific one where it's like, I'll read this for double or new or old, that sort of thing. I'll put the series where they land as I read them and if I read them. But let's start with the concrete one that I've already kind of started, if in case you can't tell, and that's Fortuna Sworn, the first book in the Fortuna Sworn series by KJ Sutton. I ended up getting this plus a few other books. Might do like a small haul or something at another point. I still have to get that big book haul video edited and up, but I actually don't know much about this in detail beyond it being like a dark fantasy romance where a long time ago, fallen angels eventually evolved into like different fantasy creatures like fae, elves, werewolves, shapeshifters, and nightmares, which Fortuna, the main character, is a nightmare who is able to, by touching someone, make them experience like their fears, and she can make you think you're by yourself, and it's really cool. I read the first chapter, I read the prologue in the first chapter and almost just kept going, but I had other books I wanted to read. So now, in September, I want to read this, and since it's the first book in a series, I was like, Series September. Possibly. Then, here I have the first two books of the Keys to the Kingdom series by Garth Nix, Mr. Monday and Grim Tuesday. Whoops. I read Mr. Monday at some point last year. I can't remember exactly when, but I didn't rate it or review it on Goodreads, and I've been wanting to continue the series, so I decided that this month I'll just reread Mr. Monday again and then continue with the rest of the series as I go, because I loved these when I was younger and they played a role in my imagination, so yeah. Then the next book that I have here that I may pick up or may not, we're in the moldable section of this TBR list, is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb, which is the first book in the Farseer trilogy. Don't know much about it. All I really know is that this follows Fitz, the bastard son of a noble who becomes, obviously an assassin's apprentice. And he's got magic. Something like that. I think he may have like some fae blood or something, but a lot of people think he's an utter fool, both in a derogatory sense and a fond sense, where it's like, oh, he's a dummy, but he's our dummy. Or if you're Murphy Napier, you're just like, he's a dummy, I don't want to read him, and I'm thinking I'll just skip to the next book in the Farseer. I don't actually, is it Realm of the Elderlings? What is it? I don't know anything. Like, this is literally my first Robin Hobb. I don't know like anything, so fill me in on the comments if I'm saying anything wrong. And then the last book that I have here is the fourth book of The Wheel of Time, The Shadow Rising by Robert Jordan. I finished The Dragon Reborn last month. Yes. And I had the thought where I was like, it's been a year since I started this series and read The Eye of the World, and I'm only finishing the third book. So now I'm like, I want to get through the series with a bit more speed. So I'm currently thinking that I'm going to try to get through one book every 1 to 2 months, so I either finish the series in like a year from now, right? Maybe sooner if like I end up being like, oh my god, I gotta get through 5 of these in a row or something, who knows. But yeah, I'm really hoping there's more Rand and Loyal and less Matt in this book. And maybe less Perrin, because in The Dragon Reborn he often had Fael. Or what is it? Her Zareen? Or Fael? And I was just not interested in being around her because she was boring or annoying. But yeah. Okay, that's that for a series, you know. If I pick up any others, they'll fit. We'll see what happens with this bingo board. Anyways, that is all. Thank you for joining me today. I hope everyone has enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below if you have any thoughts about any of these books. What books are you going to be reading this September? Especially any that you're excited for. I'm actually kind of now at the point where I might be a bit excited for Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, because this is going to be a buddy read with some of my friends. And I'm also a little bit excited for Fortuna Sworn, right? But a lot of these are ones that got picked because I am excited about them, so bear that in mind, of course. But yeah, let me know any of that. Books you're excited to read, books you're planning to read, anything about these books. Yeah. Don't know why I felt the need to repeat myself. Oh well. Other than that, make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. You can hit the notification bell because I am not yet consistent enough that you can just rely on knowing that I post, say, every week on Mondays or anything like that. So having notifications would probably really help for when I am able to get a video up, because it is, you know, to do a good job of it. I don't even know if I'm doing that great of a job, but still, it takes a lot more work than one may think. I never thought so, but I know some people who are like, what, you just record a video and then post it? You're not doing work. It's like, it takes a lot more work than you think. But yeah, what a foolish tangent upon talking about the notification bell. But yeah, I'm wishing you all well. See you real soon in the next video. Much good reading be upon you.